Remember 2017? Feels like ages ago, and in part because that was when we saw the last release from the Despicable Me franchise. That is, until 2024. That's right, a mere 7 years later, and we're finally getting to see the next installment of this revolutionary animated comedy. And yes, there were 2 Minions movies in between. Just go with me, people, I'm excited! In honor of Gru and the gang returning to the big screen, I thought I'd take a look at everything we know so far about this upcoming movie. Let's start by talking about which of the talented voice cast will be joining us again. And props to all of them, because I can't imagine doing a character voice and then having to remember exactly how to do it almost a decade later. It's no surprise that we have Steve Carell back as Gru. I figure they probably wouldn't have made the movie if he didn't sign on. We also have Miranda Cosgrove as Margot, as well as Kristen Wiig playing Lucy Wilde. Dana Geyer is back voicing Edith, but there's a change when it comes to Agnes. Nev Sherrill has been replaced by Madison Sky Poland, but that's gotta be purely because of the time gap. Kids, they grow up and whatnot. I imagine Nev's voice has changed a bunch since 2017, so Madison got the call. Steve Coogan is also returning as Silas Ramsbottom, and Pierre Coffin is back too. Not only did he direct Despicable Me 3, but he also voices the Minions, which makes him a film legend as far as I'm concerned. Now, there are also a bunch of great newcomers, including Sofia Vergara as Valentina and Joey King as Poppy. Joey posted a video on TikTok that showed clips from the trailer, but with a cute caption saying, "Meet Poppy, you do not want to be on her bad side." Stephen Colbert and SNL's Chloe Fineman are also aboard, but we don't know yet which parts they're playing. And last, but certainly not least, the inimitable Will Ferrell has joined on as Maxime Le Mal, and we're going to be hearing that name again in a minute. So, what's the movie about? The trailer does a nice job of at least setting up the premise. Yes, I know that's literally what all trailers do, don't at me. But it seems to pick up not too long after the last movie left off, with Gru and Lucy having joined the Anti-Villain League again. At least that's according to an older interview Steve Carell gave.
It's a continuation of the story. Gru and Lucy are married. It's kind of the next step in their world with the Anti-Villain League.
And in DM3, we also met Gru's twin brother Drew, who at that point took charge of the Minions. When we're reintroduced to Gru and the gang, they've settled into a bit of lovely domestic bliss. It's Gru, Lucy, and the kids with one new addition. Yup, there's Gru Jr.
It's the most logical next step in the continuation of their story as a family together.
And from the trailer, it looks like the relationship between Gru and his little youngster is going to be a big part of the story. Let's just say the baby seems to have a natural affinity for his mom and not so much for his dad. But before they can see if it's just teething pain, chaos erupts. That's because an infamous villain, Maxime Le Mal, has escaped from prison and is out for revenge. Joining him is his girlfriend, Valentina, a femme fatale joining in on the fun. Gru and fam are forced to head to a town called Mayflower, where they'll need to lay low in a safe house. We don't know too much else, other than at one point, Gru brings Gru Jr. with him on a heist, and they get into a pretty hilarious-looking fight with a honey badger. Now, if you were watching the end of the NFL season, you probably saw the Despicable Me 4 commercial they aired. Featuring about 1,000 minions, it was a pretty hilarious spot with a voiceover by Jon Hamm. But as far as we can tell, it wasn't footage from the actual movie. Nor do we think that Hamm is a part of the movie either. But who knows? The great thing about the commercial was it did a great job of generating buzz about the movie while giving some pretty fun commentary about the AI-driven world we're in. But maybe the biggest incongruity between the commercial and the trailer is the Minions, or rather, the lack of them. Throughout the trailer, we only see the primary 3 Minions, Kevin, Stuart, and Bob, but none of the others. Nor do we see any of Drew, which would make sense if he's the one in charge of them now, but it's pretty weird to see so many Minions in the commercial and then only 3 in the trailer. So either it's a scaled-down movie in terms of the little yellow guys, or they're just saving them for the next trailer or the movie itself. And hey, if Jon Hamm wants to make a cameo, I don't think anyone will mind. The good news is you only have to wait a few more months to get the answers. Despicable Me 4 will hit the big screen on July 3rd, 2024. The expectation is that it will then make the move over to Peacock for a while. There's also a rumor that it will live on Netflix for a bit and then back to Peacock, but the only official info we have so far is that July 3rd date. So who made this sequel? It was written by 2 people, one very much expected and one kind of unexpected. Ken Dario is the non-surprising one because he's written on all the Despicable Me movies so far. but he's joined by the super talented Mike White. Most recently, Mike has been the writer and creator of HBO's White Lotus. And if you've seen that show, you know it's about as far from an Illumination animated comedy as you can get. So it's pretty cool they were able to convince him to put aside murder mysteries in exotic locales for a bit and write on this movie. It's co-directed by two people pretty familiar with the world. Chris Renaud, who's back in the fold after working on 1 and 2 but not 3. And he's joined by Patrick Delage, who's done mostly animation for the previous movies. Except, like Chris, not the third installment. I, for one, cannot wait to see this next iteration of the Despicable Me franchise. And frankly, it's pretty cool that we still get to see these characters on the big screen after 14 years since the release of the original. I can never get enough of Steve Carell with his hilarious Gru voice, and obviously there are a few things better in life than listening to and watching the Minions do their thing. Are you planning to see the new one? What's your favorite in the series so far? Pop your thoughts in the comments section.